Hello, welcome to this update for the severe weather and some more stuff for the U.S. and Canada. So let's see what we have. We have yet again another slight risk of severe weather parts of New Mexico and even northwestern Texas. So there's again a 5% tornado threat in New Mexico and a 2% all the way from Colorado to Texas. Wind threat of 5% as well. Hail a 15% hail. So please be aware there, especially with the tornado and the hail threat. So let's see. Severe storms capable of large hail, a couple of tornadoes will possible across eastern New Mexico this afternoon and evening. So be careful there. As you can see here, the HUR does show some snow in Colorado there, southwestern Colorado, and then later uh, those storms start firing in eastern New Mexico there. Show some stronger storms initially. When they fire, does show some shapes looking like supercells, and then the rest of the storms go towards Texas and Oklahoma and drift away. But those initial storms this afternoon will have the greatest severe potential there. The Hersh are more northeastern New Mexico, but let's see another one from earlier today. This other one had some storms in northern New Mexico, but mainly with snow too, snow in Colorado, and then later in the evening across central and eastern New Mexico, the more severe storms. So be careful there. And this is the significant tornado parameter. Later this evening, around 22Z, does show some higher parameters there, especially if you checking very close, like central to eastern New Mexico, does show some higher parameters later on in the afternoon and like in the evening. Let's see. Later, this is later in the evening, 0Z Monday, will be like 6 o'clock or like 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. Shows, take a look at those tornado parameters there. Some reds, some yellows showing up, so like much higher. So they go, they go from like this, like very little, all the way to that. So definitely be aware there. Have a radio, a way to receive tornado warnings, and like a plan to stay safe. This is nothing. This is not a crazy event, just a 5%, but you never know. Better just be aware. And this, comparing these tornado parameters with the whole scale, like the highest are the pinks, and this is still in the orange yellow. So that's not much either, but it's something. That shows tornado potential there today, so definitely be careful there. Let's see later in the evening if it shows something else. Let's see. It shows it dies down as it gets towards the night, but definitely like late afternoon into the evening, please be careful, especially in those dark red areas there in central eastern New Mexico. Be careful. And the updraft helicity, the full run here. Let's see if it works. So it does show there like here. Wait, here does show more tracks there, like the probability of rotating updrafts shows like severe storm potential. Let's zoom in closer because this is a little bit here. So it does show more tracks in northeastern New Mexico, especially central to eastern New Mexico there. The HUR showing some very big track there, like some purples. That's definitely a chance for big hail. So be careful in those areas. And let's see, the rainfall is still a slight risk for flooding. Shows across New Mexico, even Texas, Oklahoma Panhandle, a marginal and a small slight. There's the marginal up there in Washington still for the system there. So be aware. Tomorrow, nothing crazy. For Tuesday, also nothing. Wednesday, not even Thursday. So just 2 days Sunday. Be careful there. The rainfall is this Sunday. Yes, it shows more there in New Mexico. Nothing that crazy, but it does show a lot of rain there from those storms. Southern Texas might get more too, and shows more in Oregon, parts of Washington, especially Washington, and even like northeastern, northwestern California a little bit, and some there in Florida, in eastern Florida. Monday shows more across into the plains in eastern Florida and the northwest. Tuesday, more the northern Midwest and the parts of Florida, some showers still in the northwest. Day 4, very little, mainly the northeast. Day 5 in the northwest again for next Friday. Day 6, more the northwest, some in Florida. Day 7, more the northwest in the Midwest. So beware. Day 1 through 7, all these days shows a lot in Washington and Oregon, so be aware there. In New Mexico, Colorado, and those areas, and Florida, and parts of the Midwest and Northeast. So be aware. Snowfall does show those snow probabilities in Colorado still, so there'll still be some snow southwestern Colorado. Tomorrow in Washington, a tiny hint. Day 3, nothing crazy. Day 4, nothing crazy. Day 5, day 6, maybe something in the northwest, but yeah. And day 7, northern Washington shows a tiny probability. So yeah, be aware in those areas. Day 3 through 7 hazards still shows those slightly high winds, parts of the plains, high plains, the Rockies, and day 8 through 14 in Alaska. In Alaska, there heavy rain and strong winds, and yeah, and the onset drought. So be aware in those areas. The temperatures are still some 86 in southern Texas, some low 80s in Florida, even like in Iowa, parts of southern Minnesota, some low 80s today, some 70s. Very cold in Colorado still, parts of Utah, and then tonight into tomorrow morning does show, let's see, shows those colder temperatures across Colorado, New Mexico, some 30s Fahrenheit. In the high mountains of the Rockies, maybe some 20s and even teens. But in the general areas, there's some low 30s and 40s, so be aware. Wyoming, very cold too. Nevada, especially central northern Nevada, and Utah, colder in the Sierra Nevada and parts of the Cascades, and some high 30s and low 40s in the northeast in some areas. And then day 2, Monday during the day, let's take a look. The show still some A is in southern Texas, southern Florida, and southern California, southern Arizona, and Oklahoma. Some A is in southern Minnesota, and still kind of coldish in the mountains there. And then let's see. Day 2, Monday night into Tuesday morning, shows colder in the Rockies still, especially there in the Cascades in Oregon, shows some 28 Fahrenheit. In those higher mountains, might be some teens, especially in northern Montana, some colder temperatures at night, some 30s, and even high 20s Fahrenheit. So be aware, Arizona, kind of colder, some 30s in Nevada, and Washington, not the areas, so be aware. Tuesday, during the day, the show, let's see, shows still kind of coldish in the north, some 40s, 50s, and lower in the mountains, and yet again some 90s in southern Arizona, southern California, some 80s in southern Florida, parts of even northern Florida and Georgia, and some 80s in Colorado, no, Colorado, that's Oklahoma, Texas, even 91 parts of northern Texas, southern Kansas, some 80s, and some 70s in the northeast, some 60s in Maine, but some low 80s in parts of the mid-Atlantic. So be aware. Tuesday night into Wednesday does show much colder in the northwest still, especially in the north, some 26 degrees in northern North Dakota, all of North Dakota, Montana, some 29 Fahrenheit, 31, and especially in those mountains, maybe some very low 20s and some teens. In Oregon, some 20s Fahrenheit still, some 30s true. In Colorado, once again, and northern New Mexico, very cold, northern Minnesota, So be aware of those areas. For Wednesday during the day or Thursday, let's see here. So this Wednesday during the day shows all the way to 99, 96 in southern Arizona and parts of southern Utah, maybe California, some 90s in northern Texas, parts of Oklahoma, and some 80s in Florida and Georgia and South Carolina. So BR, but still some 40s and 50s in the north there. And then the next night, Wednesday night to Thursday morning, still very cold in like the northern Midwest, parts of the Northwest, especially in Wisconsin, some 30s and 20s Fahrenheit, northern Michigan too, parts of North Dakota, Montana, Colorado, New Mexico, not areas, so be aware of the cold. And then Thursday during the day shows, let's see, shows a little bit chillier in the northeast and the Midwest and the northwest, but it's very hot in the southwest and in the south, close to 90 in Texas and some areas in the south. And then from Thursday night to next Friday, let's see, still shows colder in the north. The northeast might get some 30s, high 20s. And most of the northern US, that line of blue, some 30s Fahrenheit, high 20s Fahrenheit, and some very cold in the Rockies, still in the mountains of the west. So be aware. Friday during the day, still 90s in the southwest, parts of the south and southeast, some 80s, and colder in the northern areas and mountain areas. Day 6, no, yes, day 6, Friday night until next Saturday. Does show colder in Wyoming there, parts of Utah, and especially like in Idaho, Montana, northern Montana, parts of Minnesota, parts of North Dakota, North Dakota, northern Michigan, even Maine there, New Hampshire and New York, some colder temperatures throughout Oregon and Washington too, those colder temperatures. And next Sunday during the day or Saturday, let's see, so next Saturday during the day shows some 90s in the southwest and some 80s in the south still. So be aware. The 24 max wind gusts does show those very strong winds northern Montana there, close to 60 mile per hour gusts. Parts of the Rockies too, a little bit gustier, so be aware. The 48-hour snowfall does show in Colorado more still, some in Washington, tiny hint in Montana there, in Idaho, in Utah, but mainly in Colorado, a little bit heavier there. So be aware in those areas, and like the warning still shows those flood watches and warnings in New Mexico, some coastal flood advisories in Hawaii, in Alaska those winter storm warnings in Alaska, flood watches parts of Alaska, and the marine warnings there. So be aware, even some small craft in Hawaii, even flood watch in northern Oregon and parts of northeastern Florida too, and some areas. So be aware. In Canada, we still have a snow squall watch in northwestern territories, some warnings in Alberta, British Columbia, especially in Alberta, some snowfall warnings. In all those locations there, some special weather statements for significant snowfall of the season on Monday. So in those areas, including parts of Calgary. So be aware, you can click on all the locations here, special weather statements for the snowfall, the foothills, and all those areas. Snowfall warnings near Jasper, Park, and some areas. More snowfall warnings, special weather statements. More of these special weather statements here. First, significant snowfall. So be aware. British Columbia shows rainfall warnings in the coast. Special weather statements for prolonged heavy rain. And yeah, more rainfall warnings there. Northwestern Territories, snowfall warning around Tuktoyaktuk, East China region, and snow squall watch in some areas there, including Highway 6. So snow squalls might develop tonight near east of Fort Resolution. So be aware. You can always click here and take a look at the warnings. This change all the time. So be aware. So here for all the areas now, let's see. First the snowfall maybe. Like I'll put this until Tuesday. Does show that snowfall in Alberta including those areas there, Jasper and Hinton, those areas in British Columbia, show some 30 centimeters, 33, 17, so be aware there. A little bit further south, parts of Calgary, some snow too in other areas. British Columbia still shows that snow in the mountains in some areas there. And Alberta, Fort McHenry, some snow, some light snow further north to central Saskatchewan, Manitoba, shows the snow into central northern Manitoba into Ontario. So be aware. And shows there in Alaska that big snowfall, more than like 59 centimeters or some 21 inches of snow, parts of Alaska, 25 inches, in southern Alaska some 6-9 inches, and some other areas. So be careful, especially in those orange areas. I don't see any big cities here, but there are ones just to the south. So be careful with the snow there, the windy conditions and everything. So shows more snow around Yukon, some lighter snow, like in western Yukon, some areas in northwestern territories. Might have a little bit of snow in southern areas where the snow squall watch is, but they show more snow in northern, northwestern territories. So let's see, in Washington shows a little bit, very like 0.9 inches, so very little, but does show some. Until Tuesday, northern Montana shows some 2 inches of snow, parts of Idaho, and then especially in Colorado, the UPO models more than 7 inches, 6 inches on the Rockies there, northern New Mexico. The GFS model has a little bit less for the central southwestern Colorado, close to 1 inch. The Icon has a little bit more, central Rockies, some areas close to 4 inches. And let's see if this works. So the HER has to like parts of central Colorado, some 7 inches of snow, northern New Mexico. So this is the HER, parts of Utah until Tuesday too. So northern Montana, the HER has some snow there, some in Idaho, even some in Oregon, close to 4 inches in the higher mountains. So be aware of those areas. That's snow in Alberta, parts of British Columbia. So yeah, be aware. And later on, shows this and shows like only until Tuesday. Alright, some snow showers in Quebec, some 9 centimeters, 13 centimeters in some areas, especially northernmost Quebec and Labrador. Those areas there are more than 25 centimeters of snow. So be aware. If I put this until the next Friday now, already shows some snow further into central Ontario, some 6 centimeters. Nothing that crazy, but show like some 5 centimeters in Quebec. So a little bit more there, but central northern Quebec show more than 20 centimeters the next 5 days until next Friday. So be aware in Quebec there. Shows already more in the northwestern territories, and does show more in Alaska. So this is until Tuesday in Alaska, and this is until Friday. Does show more there, some, a lot parts of Yukon and some areas, and shows like near British Columbia and Alaska, more true in those mountains, and yeah. So be aware in those areas. It shows a tiny hint in the Sierra Nevada and California until next Friday. So be aware. There are the wind gusts from the system approaching Alaska. So this is Monday, the 21st. They show more than like 105 km/h gusts, parts of western Alaska, close to 66 mile/h gusts, some 64. So please be careful if you are in any part of the coast of western Alaska. That there will be some very rough winds. Beware of like some small coastal flooding and some trees and power lines. So especially like in those areas northeastern Alaska and the immediate coast, some very high gusts. And then this keeps going. Those gusts go a little bit further inland, some 66, 65 mile/h gusts, some even 69 mile/h gusts. There aren't many cities there, but be aware if you're in those areas. There are some towns there near the coast, like 49, 50 mile/h gusts, And yeah, further south too, might be windier, those areas. Then it continues there, shows some of the winds go from northern Alaska and all the way into Yukon there, northwestern territories, close like 80 km per gust there. In southern Alaska, some 51 mile per hour gusts. So and then this keeps going. That shows still some gusty winds central Alaska, especially western Alaska still by like Tuesday, but start showing those stronger winds in the mountains of like Yukon, southeastern Alaska, and some areas there. Northern British Columbia shows some 80 km per hour gusts in parts of the mountains there. So be aware. And then this next Tuesday still shows those stronger winds southern northwestern territories and northern British Columbia. They'll be close to 96 km per hour gusts. Northern British Columbia there in Yukon shows further south into British Columbia next Wednesday some stronger gusts, and then kind of keeps moving there. And mainly it does show a pretty strong cyclone there on the northern Pacific. Take a look at this on the European model. There's a very strong cyclone. It moves there, might approach the west coast there, but then die out. There's another system potential southern Alaska in the Aleutian Islands next Thursday. Shows some very strong winds there. Might head later to affect some parts of British Columbia and some areas. So we'll watch for the end of next week. So be aware. And not areas now we will still have this system today Sunday, southern British Columbia, northern Washington. We still have this system there. Those strong winds in northern Montana there, southern Alberta, but those ones will continue there. Might continue in Montana until like late Monday, Tuesday. So here, let's see. So this is already like Monday in the afternoon, so 52 mile per hour gusts, and then this keeps going there. Shows the stronger winds in Wyoming, like Tuesday, some 50 mile per hour gusts in parts of the plains, some 33 mile per hour gusts, and then this kind of keeps going, gets stronger in the Midwest, some 34 mile per hour gusts, and shows, yeah, and then those seasons like southern Saskatchewan, Manitoba, slightly gustier, but nothing crazy. This goes into Quebec, shows some slightly stronger gusts, some 50, 60 km per hour gusts, but from time to time this next Wednesday does show some 80 to 82 km per hour gusts in Quebec, and like into northern Newfoundland there in Labrador, some 70 to 80 km per hour gusts. So be aware. And then it shows this system approaching the Atlantic Canada next. Wait here, sorry. Next Friday shows more than 104 km per hour gusts, 106. So this will be a big wind maker there. Next Friday shows it goes away there, but some very gusty winds next Friday, and I know Greenland is scarcely populated, but if you are in any of those areas there, monitor through for these systems. I might start making some videos for those areas, and let's see here. So this mainly it for now. This is just one model, and this forecast might change a lot of times, but be aware those areas. And the temperatures parts of Canada are still very cold, of course, some minus 22, that's Fahrenheit. So let's see Alaska first. Some 4 Fahrenheit, parts of Alaska 5, so very cold there. And southwestern Alaska is like in the 40s, so a little bit warmer. But does show uh, after the system passes, might get colder again, especially like let's see later the next week. This next Thursday is a minus 8 Fahrenheit in some areas, and show like minus 11 Fahrenheit, minus 15, so very cold later next week there. So definitely be aware in Alaska later next week. southern Alaska, very cold too. But now, like today's Sunday, today until Wednesday, they'll show some forests in southwestern Alaska. Yeah, occasionally colder at night in some areas there. So be aware. What did I change? So yeah, and here and parts of Canada should show some -5 in Yukon, some -12 in some areas, -16, -14. And this cold is digging further down to Alberta, Saskatchewan, parts of Manitoba, -2, -3. British Columbia is very cold already, so -17 Celsius. Show like -5 southern British Columbia. And this will be like Wednesday morning, shows the cold all the way down to Ontario, -3, -6, -1, -17 in Northwestern Territory. So be aware there. Shows slightly warmer ahead of the cold front, so some 13 degrees, especially on the day before. So it's like 21 degrees in southern Ontario in Quebec. But that system will come in and leave that cold air in Quebec and British Columbia there. And Alberta and parts of British Columbia are very cold still, and that's actually Quebec and Ontario, sorry, shows a -2, and then this system passes there and does show those colder temperatures southern Quebec later next week, New Brunswick, parts of Labrador too, so be aware. And then it fluctuates a little bit later, but be aware the colder temperatures. Rainfall until next Friday shows more parts of Newfoundland and Labrador, some like here, some 47 millimeters, 50 millimeters, some areas there. Especially like this is will be all next Friday, the 25th. So most of this rain in Newfoundland will be next Friday. It shows some more in Ontario, some rain in Quebec, a little bit less in parts of Saskatchewan, Alberta. Most of this will be snow there. British Columbia, Alberta, parts of Saskatchewan, but there will be some rain too. Shows in Alaska there that rain and snow, especially snow in Northwestern Territories, Yukon. So be aware. There's like this precipitation type here. Let's put the GFS because I'm using the euro too much. So shows the snow in white there. It does show a spot or two of freezing rain in the purple. So always be aware of freezing rain with those bigger systems. Especially in Alaska, it shows next Tuesday in Yukon, Northwestern Territories, some small probabilities. And yeah, it even shows the snow, some freezing rain in Quebec and Labrador later next week. But the GFS shows this. The European shows all that wet snow, those like wet snow. It shows also some tiny spots of freezing rain in the mix. Some mixed ice in the brown and all that wet snow there. So be aware, shows more freezing rain in the purple, more wet snow and stuff. So be aware of those areas. There's show some freezing rain probabilities in Alaska and some mixed snow and everything. So yeah, be aware. This is mainly it. So here you can see the systems. The GFS does bring that snow all across Canada, all the way that system on the coast, on the west to watch later. There's the Canadian model too. It shows like that heavier snow in Alberta and British Columbia there today and tomorrow goes through Saskatchewan into Manitoba, that snow, and goes like some in Ontario, more in Quebec. It shows that big system in Alaska with that rain and snow, special snow. The snow goes into Yukon, Northwestern Territories later on Wednesday next week. So yeah, it's mainly this.